said I didn't feel a little naked without a hat, but you know, not every outfit needs a hat. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 9. And before I get started, I just want to say I skipped my thank yous last week, only because I actually didn't prepare the list, but I did this week. So I just want to say, for those of you who've tipped me on PayPal, God bless you. First of all, Amy Beckerson, actually, Amy Beckerson is the only American this week. Usually a lot of Americans. Cooey America, God bless you. But we have a lot of us, well, two Australians, Cameron Brooks and Soul Trader. Now, if that's your name, God bless you. And if it's not, good choice. I'm just saying. But they both tipped me on PayPal from Australia. Bless you. Thank you so much. And then Canadians, which I love seeing a Canadian on any of my socials because, no offense, it's usually a lot of British and a lot of American. And I have no problem with that. But this week, the Canadians were Alexandra Otten, Christina Hill, and Adele Salerno. So thank you all for tipping me on PayPal. If you ever want to give me a tip, if you like what you saw, you thought my do was did right or whatever, you can tip me through PayPal. The link's down below. Also, I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank Christina on Patreon. She is supporting me on Patreon, but she's not on the credit roll, so I just wanted to send her out a shout out. Now, as you all know, I do have Redbubble merch. And I just wanted to say, I ordered the Jorge Drink Me pin. This is the big one. This is the little, where's the little one? The little one's right here. God bless it. All right, see, there's the two sizes. Now, I didn't like these when I got them, because for some reason or another, I put a white band around them. I don't know, a white field. I don't know why. So I went, and this is why I always order everything myself first so I can see it. If I don't like it, I don't want you to buy it. But these buttons, I've now put a black field, and I've repositioned them. They're a little more centered. So you can get a little Jorge Drink Me pin. Also, the Sweet Marie at the Ships at Sea pins are also available. They're on Redbubble. And those that did, we got mugs. Woo! Who doesn't love a little mug, I'm going to say. Sassy Mama G, Cooey Sassy Mama G on Instagram. She posted this picture of her Jorge Drink Me mug. And Viking Bitch one of, I have to say, I feel like she's family now. I almost, since I started doing the Fingerdoo review, she has been there supporting me and being fabulous. And she bought two mugs, one of the Lar de Souza design Jorge Drink Me, Cooey Lar, and my design of Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. So those things are on Redbubble. Those links are all down below, as is the Patreon link. We do our weekly watches there. You can get on the credit roll through Patreon. All of that's down there in the description below. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, please do that. If you don't do anything, at least subscribe to my channel. Help me build up my numbers, just a titchy touch. And for those of you that have, oh my God, I'm into the 4,000s now. I don't think I was even in the 3,000s at the beginning of this year, and now I'm into the 4,000s. And I know a lot of that has to do with the fact that y'all have nowhere to go and you're just sitting in front of YouTube clicking play. You just have the play feature on. I get it, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So any of you that haven't subscribed, please do. And make sure you like the video if you did. Don't be a liar now. So there you go. Now there's only one thing left to say. Jorge, drink me. What is that? It's the smallest drink ever. It's a shot. We're doing shot. We've run out of everything. Now it's just shots. Oh, look at you. A classic Wilma Do cocktail. Oh, ho, ho. For those of you who are new to the Fingerdoo experience, this is a depth charge. Well, it's really called a Boilermaker. But then I did research on this. If you go to my Wilma Drinks, you'll see the history of the depth charge. They actually were called depth charges. I thought I was being cute, but no. The Boilermaker, the depth charge, this was usually a pint and a shot. This was something that the coal miners drank after they got, I don't know. Maybe it was just so jarring it just made them want to go home. I don't know. But the way they've always drank Boilermaker or a depth charge is you drop the shot into the glass. Now, some bars won't let you do that anymore because we become so uber protective of ourselves. Some people fear that you might chip your shot glass, you'll drink broken glass, la-di-da-di-da, so they drop it in. I am not one of those people. I have lived this long. I think I'm going to make it through. If other things don't get me, the last thing I'm going to worry about is a drink doing it. So, if you've got your shot, and you don't have to have, this is whiskey and this is beer. I know, barf. It is the worst. But you don't have to do whiskey and beer. You could do vodka and cran and soda, mix your drink in the glass type of thing. You could do cider and peach whiskey or apple whiskey. Be gorge, I'm just saying. So, this is beer, this is whiskey, this is a depth charge. 1, 2, 3, depth charge. Ooh, splashy. Oh, I got it all over my outfit. Jorge, I can't do this without a straw. Oh, thank you, see? And for those of you who notice, yes, aluminum straws, save the wildlife. I'm just saying. Depth charging. Okay, so let's get to it. We started this week off by saying goodbye to Jan, the big shocker. She did really, really well. She was doing well. She was kind of in the middle there, which sometimes can be a great thing for a lot of people. You don't spike too high, but you don't sink low enough for anyone to go, but it really, you could see that it was a bit of a shock for a couple of the girls. I am so serious. I think Widow was the most reflective because, well, she sent Jan home, but she also had hit that cold slap of realization that a lot of queens do around this point where they realize Drag Race is hard. They go on this show thinking, oh, I am all that in a bag of chips, and then they get there and they realize, well, somebody popped the chips during transit and they've been crushed to dust. Somebody who was outwardly very sorry to see Jan go, but clearly was not having any issues with not having her around anymore was Jada Essence Hall. And the thing that killed me about that was because she was just saying how up Jan was all the time. Now, I'm just going to say this. I get it. Jada Essence Hall, God bless you. She messaged me this week on Twitter. I love you, JEH, but I am with you too. It's like not having coffee in the morning. If you have somebody who's too cheerful all the time, somebody's going to get punchy. And I mean like punchy. And, I admire up people. People who can be up all the time even when they're not happy, I think really do themselves a service by drawing that positive energy back around them and rally them into a state where they're ready to face the day again. I am not one of those people, and any of those people that are around me get a slap. I am just going to say. So Jada Essence throwing a little shade at Jan's cheery disposition wasn't shady as far as I was concerned. Here's to you, JEH. I'll tweet you this week, seriously. Of course, all the queens took a moment to congratulate Miss Heidi and her first win. Well, she can't be a pow-ho anymore. She's now a thousandaire. She's got $5,000. She's able to just, well, I don't know. I don't know, but that's half of what she made last year. That's more than half of what she made last year. She is already ahead of herself. So clearly, going on RuPaul's Drag Race was an excellent choice for Ms. Heidi. Mm-hmm. Somebody else who seemed to be just gobsmacked by recent events was Ms. Gigi Good. But not because she was shocked that Jan went home. She was just shocked that she was at the bottom. So, of course, Gigi made the whole post-elimination about her, which I think delighted Heidi just a little bit, because she seemed to be very, very pleased that, for once in her life, Gigi may have suggested possibly in some quiet, underhanded, not specifically word for word way, admitted she was cocky. And not in the sexy way. The next day in the workroom, Heidi was still crowing and whistling through her teeth over her win, and so she should. The one thing that was nice about it was she was very giddy, but she wasn't overly just lording it over any of the queens. I mean, maybe one or two thought she possibly was, but it never came up, especially with the most bitter queen, Widow, because she seemed to get into this little shade match with a Sherry Pie, which surprised me, because normally the show has just edited anything that happens with Sherry Pie out. But what I noticed about this episode of RuPaul's Drag Race was that Sherry Pie seemed to be in a little more, and not favorably. And this was the first point where she kind of threw shade at Widow by suggesting, she'd been in the bottom more, and if not more, at least most recently. Well, this was not something that Widow was going to take lying down, and was right there in the middle of coming back at SP with her own version of the truth when there was Mama Ru with this week's mini challenge. It was the Kitty Girl challenge. This was similar to RuPaul's chocolate bar commercial. The girls had to get up into quick kitty girl drag and look like cats. And then it was brought to you by a kitty litter, which they had to sit in. It was very, very interesting and very funny, because at first I wasn't sure what was going on because Crystal was up first. And Crystal went on, and I thought she was doing Griselda from Cats. Like, I didn't think there was anything one way or another. And then it became very clear she was doing Grumpy Cat, but she didn't want to brand anything, so she was just Mad Cat. Our Ms. Cox's Persia Kit, is it Persia, Pertha? I don't, but the Persian pussy was hilarious. She had a great persona. She didn't mind sleeping where she was peeing, and had Ru laughing through the whole thing. The other girls that did all right, I think Heidi was charming and sweet. Widow was a little too method. First of all, she looked like one of those hairless Egyptian cats, which scared the crap out of me. And then she's just a little too felinic. She was too much about the dot on the wall and stuff like that. It's just too much. Someone who was also too much, but in a totally acceptable way, was Jada Essence Hall. Her little cat o' nine tails, dirty kitty, with the cooter slam, so funny. I thought she did such a great job. And I feel like she was one of the queens that kind of took her and our Ms. Cox, I feel, really kind of took what they were told to do beyond what everyone else did. So I was impressed. Gigi's chic glamour puss was meh until she called the ball of yarn an unfinished garment, then tried it on and got caught up in it. I thought that was hilariously funny. Good for Gigi, just saying. But when the kitty litter settled, it was our Ms. Cox who was this week's mini challenge winner, and good for her. I think this was a nice boost for her because, well, she was kind of in the bottom last week, I'm just saying. But there was not too much congratulating to be had, because right away Ru had the main challenge for the girls, which was Choices 2020. The girls had to create a political campaign to become America's first drag president. And you could see this was a bit divisive, this challenge, because there were some girls who I think just were like, okay, and then other girls that just were not ready. Gigi Goode was one of them. She's not political. It scares her. I get it. It is frightening, but you can't be an ostrich and stick your head in the sand. If you're afraid of it, you have to hit it head on. So, A, you know what's happening, and B, you can nip it in the bud or stop it altogether. Which was something some of the other girls pointed out. One of the queens that was very excited for this challenge was our Ms. Cox. And I'm not surprised by this, because she's a very international girl. She's a Canadian, she's Iranian, she's living in America. This is somebody who I think keeps up on politics because she has to, just to find out how her family's going to stay together. So I was excited for Ms. Cox for this challenge. Just saying. Somebody else who had a very clear idea of what they wanted to do was Crystal. And I have to say, I'm not surprised. She's been kind of very focused for the last few challenges, at least enough so that she's starting to make a notice with the judges. So here's to you, Crystal. I'm just saying, seriously. I couldn't tell if she was bothered by the challenge or not, but Jada Essence Hall seemed to feel the best way to prep for this was just to throw issues out. She just kept throwing issues, whether they were political or not, and I think it started to get her in the mood. We'll never know, because there was RuPaul to check on the girls' progress, and she brought her political advisor with her, Raven. OMG. I just have to say, this is one of those queens. I wish she'd do more tutorials. I know she's doing RuPaul's makeup. She does such a great face, and the way she paints her face over the years, it has evolved and changed, but it's still signature, and I'm just so impressed. So I was very excited to see Raven there in the workroom once again, bless her. And she was a hoot about it too, having never won RuPaul's Drag Race and not having any idea what that feels like. So she had no problem bringing that up again and again in front of her boss. Here's to Raven. That's political. There. First stop on Ru and Raven's Goodwill tour was Heidi in Closet, and she was ready for them, let me tell you what. She had a platform ready, no more closets, which was more a reflection on her name and Ru's hate for it than on closets in general, although it's still a good platform for the LGBTQ expialidocious community. So a double-edged sword for Miss Heidi's campaign. I'm just saying, it was very exciting. But what was very funny about this was, once again, there's Heidi shimmering away, being so cute, and then she says something about the power of the gap, and meaning her teeth, and Ru's like, well, there's your campaign right there. It's like the second time Ru's written her campaign. And then Raven pitched in with a campaign slogan parodying the gap, fall into the gap. It was just, seriously, I don't understand why Heidi even bothers to compete. She should just send all of the challenges to Ru and wait for an answer. Because either way, good for Heidi. I want Ru to tell me what to do too. Next, Ru and Raven dropped in on Gigi, who is still clearly very afraid of this challenge, or at least nervous about any of it, taking a stance or anything, and said as much to Ru. And Ru said, listen, you don't have to be political. You can be you. You can do this on you. Ru said, what's your platform? And Gigi said, how high? It's like, exactly. I thought it was great advice. I don't know how much it helped Gigi, but I thought it was great advice. Here's to you, Ru, I'm just saying. Widow was next, and I'm sorry, but she was far too deep in her funk for any kind of moral uplifting from Ru and Raven. And, I really think that Raven tried to pull her out of that funk by making fun of her shoes and saying, well, why are you wearing those biscuit baskets? And biscuit baskets. So that's what I didn't know my shoes were biscuit baskets, but yeah, I shoved my doughy rolls into those things myself. And I felt bad for Widow because she's already been dinged about her shoes once this season, but it's always been in the funniest way possible. So in this case, I thought it was hilarious, and Raven's like, do you have a prescription? Do you have to wear those? What is the deal? And she said no, because I thought I was going to lip sync. I wanted to wear shoes that would help me dance around. And Raven said, well, that's why you lip sync. You talked yourself into it. You set yourself up to lip sync. Raven also said, you're not really running for president. I thought these were great pieces of advice for Raven to give anyone, not just Widow. But Widow was too far into her funk. I don't think she heard anything that was really being said to her. God bless. Seriously. I was excited to see how Jada would do during the debate, especially after Raven and Ru dropped in on her, because she said, I don't debate, I argue. I love that. I think that's great. And the thing that was also fun about Jada was she was not afraid to sling mud. She was ready. She's like, if we're going to do political, she's going in dirty, and she's not bringing gloves. I'm just saying. I was very excited. Jada. Our Miss Cox surprised the hell out of RuPaul when she said she's not a registered voter. Somebody as political as Jackie Cox is not a registered voter. Well, I was shocked that she said, well, she's not an American citizen. She has a green card. She's a Canadian citizen. I was so impressed, but also very embarrassed by myself, because I just assumed that Jackie had lived in America for most of her life and that was a citizen there now, was born in Canada. A lot of people are born in other countries, move early, and that's the only country they know. But no, that's not the case. And what was really interesting was to hear Jackie talk about all of the issues that are going on in the government in America with travel bans and things like that, keeping her family apart, and the trials and tribulations that that's all bringing. And it really, I thought, made for a great prediction that she would do well in the debate. I'm just saying. Last on the Goodwill tour for Raven and Rue was Crystal, and I know that Crystal was very, very excited about her platform. She just seemed to be itching to tell them that she wanted to increase funding for the arts and crafts. Fortunately, that got a big from RuPaul. She's like, well, I'm already asleep. And I'm just like, oh. I think it was important for Rue to be blunt with Crystal because I think Crystal's capable of more, and I just don't think that I think she comes up with an idea and leaves it at that. She needs to kind of push herself, and Rue's good at pushing, I'm just saying. Now, I don't know if Rue and Raven actually helped any of the queens, really, but they did improve their mood when they told them that this week's moderator for the debate and special guest judges were co-creator and star of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend Rachel Bloom and movie star Jeff Goldblum, who apparently strike the deep, deep, deep chord with our Jada Essence Hall. Here you go, Jada. You get you some dinosaur doctor. You do it. The next day in the workroom, the girls got ready for their debate. Jada Essence Hall had a great plan of attack. She's just gonna make the judges laugh. Easier said than done sometimes, I'm just saying. Widow Von Du's plan of attack was, well, to complain to everybody because she'd stayed up till 4 a.m. writing stuff, which is never good. The minute she said that, I was like, oh, girl, because first of all, no one ever wrote anything worth reading at 4 a.m. Trust me, if you wrote it at 4 a.m, read it at 9 a.m. and see if you still know what the hell you were talking about. Second of all, she was up till 4 a.m. You start early on TV. 6, 7, 8 a.m. Like, it depends. I don't know what time those girls need to be there for hair and makeup, like to get ready for this day, but she didn't have a lot of sleep, which is also a negative. Why would you do a challenge exhausted? Seriously. But regardless of all that, Widow was very excited and feeling very positive for this week's challenge. Of course, she felt that way about last week's too. But everyone quickly forgot about their own performance potential when Crystal dropped this bomb on the room. She told everyone that her parents were Trump supporters. They voted for him and they supported him. And this shut the room down. And our Miss Cox right away said, well, in light of everything, are they still feeling that? And Crystal said, yeah. Now, I thought it was a great moment of truth in the room. And I think it really, let people know that good people can make bad choices. It's up to us to let them know that there are better choices to be made in the nicest way possible. I don't know. I drink. Of course, Crystal's comments about her parents brought up Jackie Cox's issues with Trump's travel bans and how horrible they have been at keeping her family apart. So all in all, it just made for a very, very serious workroom before the runway. And I'll tell you, if ever I needed a fabulous dress en route to distract me from the tension that was just going on, this was it. And it wasn't. You need a little oomph, I'm just saying. Check out wings. Oomphy. Joining Rue on the judges panel, of course, Carson Kressley was there because, well, Michelle Visage was not. In her place was Rachel Bloom, co-creator and star of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I am such a fan because I am a fan of anyone who generates their own job, who writes their own show and put Mindy Kaling. There's a lot of people out there, Jennifer Saunders with AFAB. I'm just, anyone who puts their name on something and then stars. What? Someone who did not hate Rue's dress was Jeff Goldblum. He was very happy not only to be there as a judge, but to lay his eyes on RuPaul and all her wonder and wax poetically about it for quite some time. He'll probably get an Emmy. First up, the debate. And this was, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy this. It was just the way it was edited, the way it was cut. I don't know, the first time they did this on season 4, I thought it went better. This time, I don't know, maybe because they had so many people, but it was just, I really didn't like Gigi doing that robot or suggesting she was a robot again, like her Snatch Game performance, which I think she was thinking that if she did that, it would bring attention back to her and she would get a win again. Heidi didn't do badly. She was lovely. Well, the thing that was great about Heidi was that she spent a lot of time interacting with other people, or at least reacting to them. So she was clearly paying attention. The person that surprised me the most was our Miss Cox. Her idea was good, which was to not want anyone to know she was Canadian and running for president. So she kept confusing a lot of references, instead of apple pie, apple poutine, and it was a good idea, but it didn't go over well, and especially Jeff Goldblum even challenged her to not make a Canadian reference in one of her answers. So even he was a little over it, I'm just saying. At least our Miss Cox wasn't screaming at everybody like Widow was. I mean, she just came off angry. And that first thing she said off the gate about the hokey pokey and making change, is that what she stayed up till 4 a.m. for? Seriously. Crystal's platform of being business in the front and party in the back was adorable. A step up from arts and crafts, but not much better. The queen that surprised me the most, I have to say, was Jada Essence Hall. She was so funny. First of all, she did throw mud. She was shady. She said she had a couple of things. Even Heidi reacted to something. She's like, "Oh, girl," it was. She was not holding back. She was not pulling her punches. But on top of that, when somebody would ask her a question, she's like, "Questions, and then, "Oh, what's that?" Or "What's that?" So funny, and really, of the rest of the queens on stage, I think because she seemed to have less prepared, she was more organic with what was going on, and therefore I felt was more in the room and present with her whole debate. It's good for her. Here's to you, Jada. Just saying. This was another time where I felt they kept Sherry Pie in because she didn't do well. I think they wanted people to see that she wasn't doing well in all the challenges. And clearly on this one, they weren't... Jeff Goldblum and Rachel Bloom both enjoyed what she did. I mean, Rachel even said, "Oh, you sound a bit like Katharine Hepburn," because it was new to Rachel. The rest of the girls had heard this voice all season. They weren't impressed. They felt that this was less of a stretch for Sherry Pie. And interestingly enough, I think one of the rare moments where we're going to see her not doing as well as some of the other girls. I'm just saying. Throughout the whole debate, Widow just came off as flat and angry, which is also a new line of skinny girl clothes. But the point is, she just was angry and aggressive, and she even called Jeff Goldblum uneducated when he pleaded ignorance to what a shablam was. Well, that just started. Heidi fainted. Michelle Visage couldn't get a word in via satellite edgewise, and the debate just seemed to crumble. Seriously. Then it was time for the runway, and this week's theme was Stars and Stripes Forever. Crystal was first on the runway, and I have to say, this was a very hodgepodgey look. The judges said as much, but I quite liked it. There was something very Sasha Velour about that. Maybe it was the hat. I don't know. Ooh, a hat. Heidi took my breath away this week. This is the best she's looked all season. I loved the Betty Page red wig. Her makeup was gorgeous. The outfit was adorable. And she's just as cute as buttons. Good for you, Heidi. Well done, seriously. Widow's dress was another one that took my breath away. First of all, I loved that it wasn't red, white, and blue. I loved that it was just black and silver. It just made much more impact because it still had stripes and it still had stars. And then just having a big Afro puff hairdo. It was absolutely one of my favorite looks on the runway. And good for Widow, I'm just saying. One of the girls that surprised me with her look down the runway was Sherry Pie. This was very not a Sherry Pie look. Normally she's in a fishtail dress or some such thing. This was cut off shorts, a jean jacket, and that wig. Oh! And then our Ms. Cox came down the runway in a red and white striped, glittery caftan and that beautiful hijab with the stars around the edge. Oh my God, I just was so impressed with this. And the thing that I loved was, in Canada, this is something we're quite, especially in Toronto, you see women dressed like this all the time. Some of them have the full body covering. Some of them just wear the scarves. But a lot of women, especially I would say of a certain age, they wear that traditional caftan and hijab covering. And here's our Ms. Cox floating down that runway in an outfit that's close to her heart, that her mother has worn. Every woman in Ms. Cox's family has worn this outfit. And to put it on a stage with drag queens, first of all, brilliant. But to second of all, give it an American tilt was just beautiful. I mean, why isn't that an American look? Why can't that look represent America the way other looks do? I mean, Gigi Good's runway was that colonial red coat thing, which is a traditional British outfit. I mean, the red coats were British, and America fought the British. The whole revolution, the Boston Tea Party, all of that was against the British. But that colonial look, because it was still at the beginning of America with George Washington, that is still part of our heritage. But it's, people forget that's not an American look, that's British. We've adopted, or America's adopted it. Well, why can't they adopt the hijab? Why can't they adopt a yarmulke? Why is it always just this way and no other way? I have to say, it's one of the things I'm so happy to live in Canada for, because we really are a cultural mosaic. It's not a melting pot. We're not the Borgs. You do not have to assimilate here in Canada. But still, the highlight for me this week on the runway was our Miss Cox. Just saying. And then Jada Essence Hall came down that runway. Wow! It's like the 4th of July had a hard-on and it was on her shoulders. It was hilariously gorgeous. She looked gorgeous. The outfit was gorgeous. Her body looked gorgeous. Oh, there was nothing wrong with our Jada Essence Hall being on that runway this week. I am so serious. Here's to you, Jada. And then it was time for the critiques. And we started off with Sherry Pie. And this is the third negative thing she got this week. Which I have to say, we would have maybe seen more of them in other episodes if they hadn't edited her out as much. I don't know, but the judges weren't impressed with Sherry Pie this week. They liked her runway, and they didn't mind her debate, but it was too similar to other things she's done. And they just said they needed variety from her. Seriously. The judges loved what Crystal did. I mean, they didn't hate it, but Carson felt that her ensemble for the runway was a little too hodgepodge for him, I'm just saying. Another look on the runway that judges just loved was Widow Von Du, and why shouldn't they? That outfit, like if she'd been standing there and they dipped her in gold, she could be an award. It was just gorgeous. I loved it. It's my favorite look on the runway this week, I think. But the judges felt that her candidate was just too intense. She started angry and didn't have anywhere to go. But what made, I think, Widow, or the judge's opinion of Widow worse, was her kind of clapping back at them, by saying that, she had wasted her effort, that she'd stayed up till 4 a.m. for nothing. And, even RuPaul, barked at her, he swore at her, and like, this is hard. It's supposed to be hard. Like, try harder. And but you could see none of this was reaching Widow, bless her. Our Miss Cox had a very polarizing critique because the judges didn't enjoy her character. They thought that it was a good idea, but she hadn't really thought it out well enough, this secret Canadian angle that she had going. But they could not get enough of our Ms. Cox's runway. And for all the same reasons that I've already said it was just impressive to see it, period. And the statement it was making, the statement Jackie Cox was making just wearing it, and very impressive. You could see that the judges were disappointed that she hadn't done better in the debate. But the big star of this week's runway and the debate seemed to be Jada Essence Hall. They loved how vague and unprepared and ignorant she seemed to be of the issues, but they also loved how shady she was, and she wasn't afraid to say hateful things. And then that runway, they how could you not love that runway? So when it was all said and done, it was no surprise to me that this week's winner was Jada Essence Hall. Bless her, and good for her too. She needed a win. She's been in the middle a little too long. I knew she had it in her, and it was just very exciting to see it all come together for her this week. What was a surprise was the bottom three girls. Widow Von Du again, Gigi Goode again, and our Miss Cox. It was just too much for me. And then when Gigi got the safe, oh my goodness, Jackie Cox and Widow Von Du. I was immediately worried for Jackie Cox. Jackie Cox doesn't look like she shablams or death drops or backflips. So I really was worried. But then the song, Katy Perry's Firework, and what our Miss Cox was wearing, and not to say that Widow didn't do a great job. She did a great job. She looked great. But there was so much subtext with our Miss Cox's performance, and so there's just a lot of reading between the lines, like the lyrics of the song, how Jackie looked. It was absolutely touching. I am not surprised that Jeff Goldblum shed a tear, because he was not the only one. I was just like, oh, it was absolutely beautiful. So when the glitter settled, I was very happy and very proud to see our Miss Cox Shantae, which meant that Widow Von Du sashayed away. And I have to say, I was so sorry that she went home this week, but not near as much as she was. She was so devastated by it all. She didn't even look at our Miss Cox when she came over to give her a hug goodbye. She just stood there, and then she walked to the back of the stage and hugged the other girls, weeping. She then congratulated Jackie then, but I like that Widow pulled it together for that exit line, which was, let your thighs rub together like they harmonize. That was so great. But then she walked out, you could see this girl was feeling it. She is taking this way personally. I hope that at some point in the coming weeks that she's able to watch this back and say that she did do well. But this should also be a learning tool for any queen thinking that they're ready to go on RuPaul's Drag Race. Just watch Britta, Widow, Jan. These are queens that there's nothing about their trajectory that said they wouldn't do well on RuPaul's Drag Race, and they were all tripped up by it. This is not life. This is a contest. It's meant to trip you up. They want to see the onion get peeled. They don't want everyone to feel good about themselves and proud. They want tension, and because people like to watch drama. If they weren't watching drama, well then, I don't know what we'd be watching. I mean, not much these days unless you're on the flicks, I'm just saying. So, there you have it. 6 girls left. Who do you think's next to go? I don't know. I still worry for Heidi and Crystal, only because those other queens, like we're just weeding them out, and Heidi and Crystal, although they've been improving and doing well, they still seem to be the wild cards for me. That doesn't mean that Gigi couldn't be in the bottom again. Just saying. She probably won't be, but I'm just saying. So, who do you think's next to go? All we can do is tune in next week to find out. And then once you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, before you go, please remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like the video if you did. Don't lie to your friends. And on top of that, if you'd like to support me, I have all the links down below for the ways you can do just that. And thanks again for those that subscribed, bought, or patroned. And until next week, miss me. Mwah. Seriously, Jorge. I don't know about drinking beer through a straw. I'd schmammer. Yummy.